The figure in the road. I was driving through the remote countryside late one night, on my way to visit my parents. The rain was pouring down, and the only light came from my headlights. I was the only car on the road, and I started to feel a little uneasy. I had heard stories about people who had gotten lost in the middle of nowhere, and I started to wonder if that was going to happen to me. I kept driving, but the road seemed to go on forever. Suddenly, I saw a figure standing in the middle of the road. I slammed on the brakes, but it was too late. I hit the figure, and it went flying into the air. I got out of the car to see if the figure was okay, but it was gone. There was no sign of it anywhere. I looked around, but I was all alone. I got back in my car and drove away, but I couldn't shake the feeling that I had just seen something that shouldn't have been there. I drove the rest of the way to my parents' house in a daze, and I never told them about what happened. The next day, I went back to the spot where I had seen the figure. There was no sign of an accident, and no sign of the figure. I even asked the locals if they had seen anything, but they hadn't. I still don't know what that figure was, but I'm glad I never found out. I'm not sure I could have handled it. The noise in the woods. I was camping with some friends in the remote wilderness. We were all sitting around the campfire, telling stories, when we heard a noise. It sounded like someone was walking through the woods. We all froze, listening intently. The noise came again, closer this time. We could hear branches breaking and leaves rustling. We were all scared, but we didn't want to show it. We pretended like nothing was wrong, but we were all on edge. The noise got closer and closer, until it was right outside our camp. We all held our breath, waiting to see what would happen. Suddenly, the noise stopped. We sat there for a few minutes, but we didn't hear anything else. We finally decided that it must have been an animal, and we went back to telling stories. But I couldn't shake the feeling that something wasn't right. I kept thinking about that noise, and I couldn't help but wonder what it was. I never found out what it was, but I'll never forget that night. It was the first time I had ever been truly scared in the woods. I have shared these stories with others, and I have learned that I am not alone. Many people have had similar experiences in the middle of nowhere. These experiences are often unexplained, and they can be very frightening. However, they can also be a reminder of the power of nature and the unknown. If you are ever driving through the middle of nowhere, be careful. You never know what you might encounter,